be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK.
Welcome, welcome. Let's see. There we go. That should be the background music. Should be playing all nice. Yeah, I think we're good to go. How's everyone doing today? It's been quite the week. I have been working really hard in the background, doing a whole bunch of back end stuff. In case you weren't here the other night, I ran a little live test. We've got a whole bunch of new channel point rewards that are down and ready to go. We've got I set up some cool stuff in chat, some different chat commands. So there's like an actual alert command now. There is welcome, Lumpy Pickle. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of fun stuff. Fun stuff. And I'm not going to reveal everything. So then that way, people have a chance to kind of explore and discover some of the fun things that I've done. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but to be honest, I'm really happy with where things are at in terms of the back end right now. So even though I just realized you can't read, there we go. Now you can actually see that it says Okonomiyaki Party on the cabinet. Even though like I've laid down a whole bunch of back end stuff, it's really made a really excellent base, and I'm able to change things, I'm able to improve things, and I have a much better understanding of the back end stuff. And so going forward, it's just going to make my life way easier, and I'm really happy with kind of where we're at. Hey, Renfield, welcome. So today, at the request of the birthday boy himself, Lumpy Pickle, we are making Okonomiyaki, which are Japanese, it says type of savory pancake, and I'll go into more detail about that. But first and foremost, for the birthday boy, we got a moment of feels. So when I first went onto Twitch, finally, it was initially into Grant Truesdale's stream from Unleash the Archers, and Lumpy Pickle, as well as AJ Mitch, who's not with us today just because it's Sunday morning for him, were two of the very first people that said hello to me and welcomed me into the fold of the Archers. And we've developed a friendship, and he's been my oldest friend on Twitch, and honestly, without him, none of this would have been possible. So much love to Lumpy Pickle. I can't wait till we finally have a chance to meet, and I'm able to completely undo any exercising that you've been doing with a single meal. That is my plan. So did the hug command not work? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so like hug commands have been implemented, for instance, and there's actually a thing set up about consent. So if you don't want to be hugged or you don't want any of that, you can actually do that, but that's a whole other thing. People in this nation, what the people of this nation in particular? That sounds fun, Renfield. D&D is a blast. It's been a while since I've had a chance to actually play, but it's a good time. So, Okonomiyaki. Okay, I'll try to lay it out and make it as simple as an explanation as possible. Okay, it is a thin wheat flour based batter that traditionally has a Japanese mountain yam. Yamamino. I'm going to completely script the name. Anyways, it kind of looks like this, except much larger, and I just happen to have this one wrapped up, but it's got like fuzzy little hairs and stuff on it, and you grate this into it, and then it's loaded with cabbage is kind of the most common sort of filling, but it started out as a way. This was, I think, back in 1930 or so when the first recorded written version of Okonomiyaki popped up. And it was a way that, because there was a rice shortage, that they were able to kind of have a cheap filling food. And so it really sort of started out as a street food. And so cabbage was cheap. They had this flour, and so instead of being mostly a dough-based pancake, it's mostly all of this stuff that would get mixed into it and then fried on a teppanyaki, or big kind of griddle, really is what it is. And then they would slather on a sauce, and then there'd be some like toppings, but it would just be like a really sort of inexpensive and filling way to have something to eat when resources were really scarce at the time. Over kind of the years, there were two main styles that developed. There was the Hiroshima style, which starts out as like a really thin sort of crepe almost, and then things get layered and flipped and layered, and it ends up as kind of a stack. And that's that particular style. The Osaka style, which is the more commonly known one and probably the more popular of the two, just in terms of proliferation throughout Japan, is you have the batter and you mix a bunch of the stuff into the batter and then just kind of fry it as is. Typically, once you've laid the batter down, they'll lay either thin slices of pork belly or like pork shoulder, any number of things on it. And then it's not usually flipped multiple times, other than one side flipped once and then back again before serving. But they're both, I mean, whichever one floats your boat, they get really, really intense about their love of one particular style. You have people that are very much Osaka style is the best, and that's how it is, and some people are like, no, the Hiroshima style is the best. And yeah, people get into big time debates, as people are wont to do on the internet, and so they kind of go crazy with it. But honestly, like, I'm happy to shove them in my mouth regardless of whichever style it is, because it's delicious and I'm all about that. The other thing that tends to be really common on the inside, besides cabbages, like yakisoba noodles, very often will get mixed in. So I've got some yakisoba noodles, so we'll do that. I've got the cabbage, so that's good to go. Seafood is another thing that gets mixed in quite a bit. And there'll be like you can get a seafood mix, and it'll be things like octopus, shrimp, scallops, just kind of whatever. And it gets mixed in all the time, making it, which actually kind of brings me to a little bit of a soapbox rant, which earlier when I was thinking about this, I'm like, oh, I should have like a little video of me like getting up on a soapbox, like as a kind of an intro for it, which I think would be kind of funny. But first and foremost, just want to put this out there. Above all, I believe that people need to be able to live their lives in the way that makes sense to them. Okay, I give that respect to others, and whether or not I get it is really sort of immaterial. Regardless, I'm not saying that should you feel differently than myself, then you're wrong, or should you act differently than myself, that you're wrong. What? Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I believe that is
wrong.
Yeah, there we go. And we're back. So,
Wrong.
Octopus.
Wrong.
Yeah, there it is. I personally avoid eating octopus. If I have a choice, I don't eat it. And the reason isn't because, oh, I don't like octopus. Octopus is quite delicious. The reason it's purely from a more of a conservation standpoint, because octopus, they don't reproduce very quickly, and they don't reproduce in really great numbers. And so because of that, the worldwide population of octopus has diminished over the last number of years. And so in my own sort of way, I just feel like, you know what, I'm good with letting the octopus go for the time being, so they have a chance to build back their populations. In the meantime, give me all the squid you got, because the squid populations have just exploded worldwide, and have gone absolutely crazy. So I'm like, bring on the calamari, bring on the squid tentacles, bring on the baby squid, bring on all the squid you want. Like, I'm all over that. But personally, I don't eat octopus for those particular reasons. Now, if you know what, feel free to please go read up on it. And if you decide to do the same, great. And if not, that's fine too. That's just kind of how I feel about it. And so it was just one of those things that I wanted to kind of put out there. But so yeah, there's that. I think we're about at the point where we can start actually making some stuff. Enough of me just kind of talking to talk. So the first thing that we're gonna make is we're gonna make a traditional batter for the okonomiyaki, and I'm talking like from scratch sort of thing. But in the event that you don't have ready access to this Japanese mountain yam, if you can get it, fantastic. You can make okonomiyaki without it, but it will not quite be the same. In doing a little bit of reading and research prior to this, I did find somebody online who recommended, instead of using, if you can't get the yam, that what you can do is with the flour that you use, instead of using all-purpose flour, which is what we'll be using today, do like an 80-20 split between all-purpose flour and tapioca flour, because the tapioca apparently helps kind of mimic the consistency of the yam. Why, thank you, darling. I will say that the yam, once you see it grated, can be a little off-putting to some. I will explain the consistency like this, and I'm going to put a disclaimer in front of it that if you don't understand the reference, don't ask. And if you do understand the reference, please feel free to laugh, but don't explain it, because you'll see what I mean later on. Once the mountain yam is actually grated, it has kind of the look and the consistency of the hair gel from Something About Mary. So just prepare yourself is all I'm saying, okay? All right, let's make some batter. So I need a couple of things, first and foremost. Let's go to this. Okay. I don't quite need the cutting board just yet, but we'll get to that. Got my scale, bowl that I'm going to be mixing stuff in. I got my giant chopsticks for doing the mixing. And let's see. Let's grab kind of the dry stuff, since I have that handy. And I'll go over all of this. And for this, I'm going to need, let's see, 3 ounces of water. Okay. So the recipe that I'm making right now, it's enough batter for technically 2 servings. And there's a specific kind of methodology that goes into mixing it. So the first thing that you want to do is you actually want to add your liquid to your mixing bowl, because then you're going to add your dry ingredients to it. You don't want to over mix it, and then it actually needs to rest for kind of a period of time. It's usually recommended to let it rest for about an hour. Some shops will actually let it rest overnight, and yeah, but we're not going to sit around and wait for a full hour for this. But let's get this mixed up so you can kind of see what's going on. So first thing for this, I'm adding my 3 ounces of preferably cool to cold water to my bowl, and then we need to add in a couple of dry ingredients. So to this amount, we're going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of sea salt, or as Mrs. Weso one day, she couldn't remember the word sea salt, and so she labeled it ocean salt. And we've, yeah. And so we've left the label because I thought it was absolutely adorable and it made me laugh, and so it will forever be called ocean salt here. Next, we're going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon, or no, not that. Not 1/8 teaspoon of that, but we will add 1/2 teaspoon of it. What I have here, this is hondashi, or kind of a Japanese instant dashi powder, because generally speaking, okonomiyaki gets made with some form of dashi that's mixed in. It could be like the hondashi. If you want to make dashi from scratch and use it, you certainly can. But this kind of goes back to the discussion and the argument about how recipes are effectively chains, and every link in the chain matters. However, you also have to think about, okay, there's going to be a whole bunch of other flavors going on with this, and this is really meant as kind of like a baseline, and it adds some umami to everything. And so I wouldn't, in something like this, I wouldn't necessarily use like super high quality dashi, just because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this is the perfect use for this instant dashi powder, which gets used all the time in like Japanese restaurants. It's just it's awesome stuff, and it gets used. So that would be my recommendation.
Scott's asking what dashi is.
Oh, dashi?
Phil's answer's the best.
That's what happens when you have to run it. Yes, basically you're doing a dashi. So dashi is a base stock for the bulk of Japanese cuisine. It is made with kombu, or giant kelp, and shaved bonito flakes, katsuobushi, but then there's any number of variations, but that's the very basic version of it. It gets gently simmered, and it's loaded with umami, that just sort of savoriness, and it's honestly like the baseline flavors for the bulk of Japanese cuisine. It gets used for everything. So, and if you don't have it, it's fine. You can make it with just straight up water. In fact, when we go to make the batter with the more readily available okonomiyaki mix, which kind of looks like that, which looks like this, made by Otofuku, and that is probably what's going to be the easiest thing for people to find at a Japanese grocery store, or possibly even a Korean market, or even like a Chinese market, if they have sections that cater to other countries. But we're going to make that stuff up after we do all this. So back to the rest of what we need to add in. We got the salt, we got the hondashi. Now we're going to add in 1/8 teaspoon of sugar. And we got the salt, we got the sugar. And then we've got baking flour, or baking powder. But I like to add that after doing the flour, personally.
Oh, camera switch.
Ah, thank you.
That was your mom.
Okay. So for the flour, we're doing this by weight. And what we're aiming for here is 62 grams. I prefer to do all this sort of thing with weights because then I'm not having to worry about how much flour is in a scooped and swept half cup or cup or anything like that. With the weight, there's no question. It's just that's how much it weighs. And so that's my preferred method. So I've got the scale on, and we'll just slowly add this. Okay, that was 23, 41, that's 47, 56, 58, 59, 61, 62. Okay. Beauty. All right, now we'll add in baking powder. Squeeze meat, baking powder. Okay. Now we come to the last base ingredient for what you can mix up ahead of time. There's going to be a few other things we're going to end up adding to the batter after the fact. But this is kind of our basic stopping point, at least for the time being. Because now it's time to get into the yam. I'm actually really excited about this for a really good reason. So this yam, they usually at the market, they end up being way bigger and longer, and they're imported from Japan, and so they tend to be relatively expensive. You just peel it and then you grate it. You grate it using generally one of these guys. It's like a ceramic grater that's got little teeth on it, and then let's see if there's a better view here. Yeah. So then you just rub it on there and then scoop off the stuff and put it into your bowl. And this works fantastic. However, I have had for a number of years a tool that I have yet to actually use. I found it at a restaurant supply place that dealt in used equipment, and it's called a Sodubachi. And I don't know if the camera can really pick up the texture. It's these raised ridges. It's a ceramic bowl that's used for grating and kind of grinding things up. And what usually ends up happening is you throw in kind of whatever, and then you have a big wooden pestle and you work it around to really grate it and mix everything up. This big guy, if you were to buy one of these new right now, easily $200, like pricey, really pricey. So when I saw this and they were selling it for $10, like it was shut up and take my money. I could not buy it fast enough, but I've never really had, I've never really used it until now, and so I'm super excited to actually finally use it. And it's purely because cleaning these sometimes can be not fun, but you know what, for this it is absolutely worth it. Like, I will take the extra time to get a toothbrush and kind of scrub out whatever I need to. That is how excited I am about using it. And I had my vegetable right there. Okay, so for this particular batter and this amount, we need about 80 grams of this. So I'm going to peel this back and start grating, and then set this up over here. and then we'll just kind of add it to the batter until we get about the right amount. But yeah, I can't even tell you how like tickled I am about finally getting to use this. So thank you, Lumpy Pickle. I'll probably end up using it a lot more after this because it's a super cool tool. All right. That in theory should be about enough. Now I will, just as a kind of a small cautionary note about this yam, some people can be kind of allergic to it, and I don't mean like anaphylactic shock type of allergic, but it is can sometimes cause skin irritation to people. And so if that's the case, either use gloves or, you know, just work really quickly. I mean, I'm gonna wash off my hands right after I do this. So yeah, thankfully it's just a question of just working it around the bowl here. And it's that easy. That is super awesome. I love that. But you can kind of tell that it's got this runny, hang on, let me hold it up. It's kind of this, it's kind of egg white consistency and texture. Very good. Yes, egg whites. That's what we're talking about. Egg whites.
That was Lumpy Pickle.
Good job, Lumpy. Okay. So we're looking for about 80. There we go, 80. Nice. Okay, so we got some left over.
Gloopy is a word he used.
Gloopy. Gloopy is a good word. Gloopy is a good word in this case. All right. So I am going to go rinse this out real quick because if, yeah, you can either rinse now or scrub later. So let's just rinse this real quick. Okay. Got water into it, so that is excellent. Okay. So now all we got to do is just kind of mix this up. It would help if you could actually see what I was doing. So yeah, that is our basic Okonomiyaki batter base. So like I said, usually what you want to do is you want to let this rest for at least an hour. Overnight would be even better. So all you got to do is just, you know, put a little plastic wrap on it and then pop it in the fridge. Just let it hang out. All right. And then through the magic of Twitch,
Is there a leavening agent?
yes, there's a little bit of baking powder in there, but just a little bit. That grated yam actually helps kind of make it lighter and a little bit fluffier, and just overall generally improves the texture. So this is a batter that I made last night before I went to bed. just so then that way we had a nicely aged one. So this is enough for technically 2 portions, but there is that. So now, in addition to this, there's one kind of the big thing that we need to add, and I thought I got those out. I guess not. So we need to mix in a couple of eggs. Every recipe for okonomiyaki that I have read has said to mix the eggs in after you've let the batter rest. So that's what I'm doing. It's their food. I am going to trust the fact that they've been making this for longer than I've been alive. Actually, longer than my parents have been alive, now that I think about it. So we'll put the 2 eggs in. Just kind of mix it up. Okay. Now we can start adding the toppings, or well, actually the fillings. Really, is where what we're talking about now. And I don't quite recall the exact translation, but okonomiyaki, from yaki meaning grill, but the okonomo, from what I recall, means like as you like. So it's kind of grill as you like. So you can add really whatever fillings you want, kind of whatever toppings you want. It's up to you. For this, I'm gonna kind of stick to what is considered traditional Osaka style, just as kind of like, okay, this is traditional, this is normal, let's go with this, and then we can kind of play with things from there. So to this, first and foremost, we need cabbage. And this is just regular old green cabbage that I chopped up into, kind of a dice or whatever. But to this volume of batter, we're looking at about three cups of cabbage-ish. Because at this point, everything gets really kind of ishy, as it were. Because you don't necessarily want a ton of the final batter. It's there to kind of act as a binder. It's not really meant to be like, oh, I'm having a really doughy pancake. The next thing we're going to throw in, and this is really, really common, it's called Kazumi Benishoga, which is just a red pickled ginger. But this is a very, very common ingredient in the Osaka style. And so we'll just throw in like a spoonful. Now, usually they come in like longer strips, and I just ran a knife through it, so then that way it'd be a little bit smaller to kind of match up with the cabbage. The next filling that's super traditional is usually like green onion or Tokyo negi, the white portion specifically, white and light green, because they tend to be less bitter than the tops. The tops I have sliced up to go on top at the very end. So we'll throw in some of these. Okay. And then usually at this point there's some form of seafood, and in this case we're going to throw in a bit of shrimp, which frozen shrimp thawed that were already peeled and deveined. I just kind of chopped them up into smaller bits, and so we'll throw some of that in there. And if if you're not into seafood, or you've got a seafood allergy or a whitefish allergy or whatever, you can completely skip it. It's totally fine. But some form of seafood mix going into it is super, super traditional. So at this point, we're just mixing it up. I'm using the big chopsticks that they are wont to use.
Would you prefer something else?
No. No, I'm good with these. Thank you for your concern.
No, it wasn't. It was more of like making it better.
There we go. Okay. So that is looking really excellent. So I'm going to set this off to the side for a moment. I'm also going to get this out of the way real quick. Because we got one more topping, or actually filling, that is super common that we're going to end up adding to some a little bit later on, and that's kimchi. That is a super common addition, interestingly enough. Oh, there we go. Let's get it actually on camera. That might be a good idea. For okonomiyaki, really what you want is a matured kimchi or a sour kimchi, one that's had a chance to ferment for any given amount of time. You don't necessarily want to use a fresh kimchi just because it hasn't really developed the flavors that people usually like that goes into it, especially like if you're making the Korean pancakes, like kimchi jeon. However you say it, my Korean's awful, but and that's a different thing altogether. In fact, if Mrs. Weso or Lumpy happens to have a text file open to make a note of it for later, talking about the different types of kimchi, making kimchi, and kimchi video, as well as the Korean pancakes, because they go crazy with them too. But it's a different batter than this, and so it's not really the same thing, and so it's going to be a whole other thing. So what I have here is some kimchi that I made a few months back, and so I figured this would be a perfect occasion to bust it out and slice some up. So trying to drain off as much of this stuff as possible, so then that way I'm not adding a ton of extra liquid to the batter. But this is a really nicely nice and sour, which is exactly what we want for this. Let's get that knife. It's a good habit to get into, that whenever you get out a knife and you're getting ready to cut anything, to get out your honing steel, do a quick hone with it, so then that way, if you're constantly doing it, you're maintaining your edge for as long as possible. And I think I've talked about this before, but I always do it kind of backwards, with the edge facing towards me and running it that way. So then that way the edge, I'm kind of folding it back as opposed to folding it over by going edge first. That's just my own personal preference. So we're gonna need, because I'm thinking I'm gonna make a straight up kimchi one of these, so I'm going to want plenty of it. Alright, put that back in. Kimchi for the chef, or cook, because I'm not a chef.
Why do you say that?
Oh, Mrs. Weso just asked, and I don't know if it was heard on camera, why I call myself a cook and not a chef. And it's one of those things that I'm pretty adamant about. I don't work in a restaurant. I do not, I have not earned the title of chef, okay? I am a cook. I am a home cook. I cook for a whole bunch of stuff, but I am not a chef. It's kind of like if you you're in the army as, like a corporal or something like that, but then you start calling yourself a general. Well, you're not a general, you're a corporal. It's the same kind of thing. I'm not a chef, I'm a cook. I'm a good cook, but I'm not a chef. It's sort of it's one of those things that it personally just bugs me, because like I said, that's not what I am. But another kind of term that I have been called in the past that also bugs me is being called a foodie. And this is another kind of a soapbox thing, but I'll explain. I've been into food my entire life. The running joke is that I was born and raised in the kitchen, and it is something that I have developed a truly deep love for, and have gone to clearly crazy measures in order to make food and try to make authentic food that's respectful, and it is just who I am. Okay, a foodie, in my experience and opinion, they're more people that were kind of fly by night, and do it for the cool factor. They're like, hey, I'm getting on Instagram and taking cool photos, and like, I'm just seeking out the best places to eat, and it's just like, that all I eat is, and it's a little aggravating because, they're like, I just want the best. This is all I want. It's like, yeah, but you have no understanding of it. And so, yeah, foodies to me are food hipsters, if that makes sense. And if it does, then you kind of understand why I loathe being called one. I'm a lover of food. That's all it is. And I'm going to finish there and just kind of leave it at that. Foodsters, yeah, that works. Yeah, foodies are definitely more eaters than cooks. But even then, you see some of them that, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that because I can go on way too long, and that's not why we're here. We're here for Okonomiyaki. So, all right, I'm just gonna run my knife again through this way to kind of get that nice dice.
Ramco said foos, as in I pity the food.
Yeah, exactly. That's really kind of what we're looking at. But that's okay, because you know what? I am more than happy to help convert a foodie and help make them better than, some Instagram story. So, all right, let's get rid of this. Knife is clean. Back up on the knife strip. Okay. So that is now ready. So I can get this out of here. Okay. We've got our base batter. We've got fillings. I got yakisoba noodles ready to go. We've got some garlic. Yeah, I think we are ready to just really quickly... Oh, we need to talk about the final sauce. On top of okonomiyaki, for the toppings, especially with the Osaka style, the traditional toppings go... there's an okonomiyaki sauce, which this might be the best, or if you have access to it and you can get it, the Sodofuku okonomiyaki, this is what is used throughout Japan. So if you got this, you can use this. Fantastic. However, if you don't have it or don't want just to have that straight up sauce, you can make your own. It's really easy, and we're going to do it right now. So, and it's really can be 4, maybe 5 ingredients. And this is a super basic one. So it is really kind of nice and easy. I have it written out in parts format here. I'm not sure how visible this is, but it's going to be 4 parts ketchup, 4 parts Worcestershire sauce, preferably Japanese Worcestershire sauce, Bulldog brand, which is honestly, in terms of Japanese Worcestershire sauce, this is going to be the one to get. It's also the most widely available. 2 parts oyster sauce, but as we kind of talked about when we did stir fry, instead of oyster sauce, should you not go that particular direction, you can sub hoisin, and that will also work. But you can also split between oyster sauce and soy sauce if you want, depending on if you like the sauce to be a little bit saltier or not. And then lastly, 1 part sugar. And I have here just super fine sugar, which you can't see because that camera's not on. And then that's literally it. And it's super easy. And then you just brush it on. Fantastic. What comes afterwards is where things get really kind of cool. You put on usually what's called aonori. It is a type of seaweed. And when I went to actually buy some, they unfortunately didn't have it. And so after doing a quick search, what I found was that a good substitute is not kind of the sushi nori, the seaweed, sushi seaweed, but the laver, or the Korean seaweed, which tends to be not as thick and just kind of broken up, and then that gets sprinkled on. Then you put on a squirt, actually you kind of cover it, Kewpie mayo. It's a Japanese mayonnaise that they absolutely adore. This goes on usually in either in a spiral or a crisscross. You'll see all this when we go to do the final plating for it. If you do not want or cannot get Kewpie, which I completely understand, you can use whatever mayo you happen to have around. The one thing that I would do to kind of doctor it just a little bit is add just a touch of yellow mustard and mix it in to give it because Japanese mustard tends to have Japanese mayo tends to have a little bit of mustard mixed into it, and so the color is a little bit yellower that way. So if you just put just a tiny bit, you don't want a whole bunch of mustard mixed in, but just enough to kind of give it a little bit more of a yellow hue. So we will put that on top as well. And then the last thing, katsuobushi, bonito flakes, which is skipjack tuna that has been steamed and then dried until it's rock hard and then shaved, and then this gets sprinkled on top. And then if we do it in the pan where it's still nice and hot, the flakes will actually kind of dance, and that's sort of one of the hallmarks. And then that's your kind of basic toppings. Green onions, used all the time. The other thing that gets put on top, which is kind of cool, for me at least, besides that Kizami Benishoga, that red ginger that we put into the batter, they'll put sushi ginger, or straight up Benishoga, the slightly pink pickled ginger that will get put on top. So it's just like double ginger power. It's pretty awesome that way. So let's mix up some sauce real quick. Okay. And honestly, I'm just going to be eyeballing this just because. So I've got my ketchup.
I love that you're using the Domo bowl.
Yeah. Probably need a little bit more, to be honest. There we go. I'm not a big fan of these upside down squeezy bottles. I hate them. Excuse me. Okay. Next up, Worcestershire. If you only have that LMP brand or French's or whatever, that'll work too.
Are you using a store-bought Worcestershire
It's a Japanese Worcestershire sauce. So that looks like it's about the right volume. Next, oyster sauce. 2 parts of that. That looks about right. And we can taste and adjust as needed. And lastly, a little bit of sugar. Okay. And not Dr. Roxo's favorite thing in the world. Okay. I'm just mixing it up with the basting brush that I'm going to end up applying the sauce with at the end. Okay. Little spill. Tastes real good though. Oh, I got a whole new alert system set up, by the way. So in the event that like new followers show up, if somebody decides that, hey, you've done a good job and feel like throwing some biddies my way, it'll throw up a whole new thing, which is kind of cool. The Nobel Pizza Prize. That's pretty funny. That's a good joke. I like that. That's like quality dad joke level. Okay. Sauce is ready. Batter is ready. I think we are ready to start making some okonomiyaki finally. Bust out my burner. And then for this, I'm using, since I don't happen to have a teppen, which would be awesome, or a griddle, I'm using literally the largest frying pan that I own. It's kind of like I've said previously that, you know, hey, when you're getting a bowl and you think, oh, this will be, you know, plenty big enough, just get the next bigger size. Just get the bigger one. This way I've got plenty of room in order to get this giant pancake turner underneath, because it's gonna get a bit wide. And it'll just make flipping things way easier. If you don't happen to have a large pancake turner, or get a little squiffy when it comes to flipping larger pancakes, you can always use the plate method of flipping, which is really easy. Because what you'll do is, you got your okonomiyaki going and it's time to flip it. All you've got to do is slide it off onto the plate and then invert the pan over it and then flip them together, and then that way it'll flip nicely. Which, if I need to do that, I can demonstrate it in real time, but for the moment don't necessarily need to. Is that okay? That is lined up good. I've got my spare butane canister at the ready. Got my batter ready. Oh, one quick thing before we start cooking this. I think I mentioned like the pork belly or the pork shoulder earlier. So I've got pork shoulder here as opposed to belly, only because the belly that they had was either sliced way too thick, or just didn't look all that great. This, however, looked phenomenal, so I'm like, we're gonna go with this. Do you hear sirens?
What?
Do you hear sirens?
Yeah.
I'm hearing sirens.
Freeze! Vegan police! Vegan police!
I don't know if the sound came through on that. I really hope it did. Vegan police. And hail hydrate. Thank you for that.
It did. The sound did come through.
Okay. So, due to the eggs, it's not going to be considered strictly vegan. Even with the premix flour, the instructions actually call for eggs to be added to this. So if you're, say, a vegetarian of the pescatarian variety, or even ovo-lacto, for instance, you can make this without the use of meat, without the use of seafood. It can be done. You don't necessarily have to put like the katsuobushi on top, but if you're okay with things like shrimp and fish, then I would say please do. It's phenomenal that way. So when I go to mix up the batter, instead of putting the pork on it, I actually have sliced up shiitake mushroom that will lay on top, and then use that to instead of the pork. So then that way it is an option for those that don't eat meat for whatever reason, be it health, be it ethical, whatever. So I'm trying to work with you guys here. Okay, so let's fire this thing up. And you generally want to do these over about a medium heat. If you have an electric griddle, that would be fantastic and absolutely perfect for this. Set it to the 400 degree setting, and yeah, that'll be perfect for doing this kind of thing. We have an electric griddle. However, I don't know where the cord is for it. And of course, those electric griddles have a very specific type of plug that is specific to that one. And for whatever reason, there is no standard for it. Everybody's got their own different one. So I have a griddle. I gotta find the cord for it though. But in the meantime, since generally speaking, everyone's got a stove, everyone's got a big pan, this is what we're gonna make with. And all I have here is a handheld infrared thermometer, so I can see what the temp is. Right now, this is temping at about, certain spots I'm getting like 240, some are about 300. So what it's telling me is I need to kind of recenter it. Ideally, I'd love to get one of these that doesn't have the handle on it, just so it would make life a little bit easier. But then, when we're ready to go, we're going to put in a little bit of, I got grapeseed oil here. We're going to put a couple of tablespoons in. We're going to put in our pancake mix, kind of smooth it out, and then we'll hit it with the pork. And then we'll let this go for about 5 or 6 minutes until the bottom side is kind of nicely browned, and then we'll flip. Let that go for about another 5 or 6 minutes, and then flip it back one more time while the heat's still on, and then we'll do the toppings on it and plate. So that's our plan of action. Okay, it looks like we are at a good temp. So let's get a bit of oil in there. Move it around. All right. I'm going to do about half of this. Okay. And just kind of flatten it out and then move it around to bring it together into more or less a round shape. Most of the time when you go to a place that's making and serving okonomiyaki, when it comes to all this, they've got their own half moon metal spatulas. And in fact, they'll serve them to you with like a mini one so you can kind of cut it up and scoop it onto your plate. All right, let's hit this with some pork slices. And I'm thinking I'm probably gonna have to get my hands dirty. Yeah, and this stuff is pretty thin. Okay. That's looking good. It smells really good too. Let me wash my hands. So I don't have porky stuff. Yeah. None of this cross-contamination nonsense. There we go. So far, it's looking and smelling phenomenal. Finely ground tree bark in your bread. Is that like cinnamon? Since cinnamon, true cinnamon, is actually a type of tree bark. Shove it in your mouth hole. I think, oh, you know what? I think the shove it in your mouth hole, if I remember correctly, is from Parks and Rec. And it was the radio DJ, something in the douche. It is smelling awesome. Just needs a couple more minutes. Yeah, usually when you go in, like, the shops that I've seen by way of YouTube videos, when you go to check them out, a lot of times they're... Crazy Ira, that's who it was. You roll up and usually you've got like a little bar and you've got kind of the big teppanyaki grill that's right in front of you, sort of like if you go to Benihana's or something, but it's kind of at a bar on the street because it's usually meant to be eaten relatively quickly. And so it's also, it can be served in an izakaya, a Japanese kind of bar that also makes little plates of things, kind of like a tapas bar, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But yeah, they're usually, you know, kind of a snack you get on the go if you're going out and, you know, doing your thing. Hey, to person, welcome, welcome. Yeah, you like those automatic welcomes? That's a fun thing. And then, yeah, there's shout outs that will pop up for fellow streamers for their first time in the chat. I also have the ability to set up custom shout outs. So if somebody comes in, like say Grant, for instance, Grant should pop in, say, you know, hi in the stream or whatever, then there's a specific shout out just for him. And there's a few other people that I've set those up for, but it's an ongoing thing. So, okay, smelling like we are there. Let's do a quick flip. Beautiful. That is the color we are aiming for. It's looking and smelling awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't either, Lumpy. That, yeah. I don't think I would. No, nobody wants to see me take my top off. I don't know, maybe at some point way down the road, you know, threaten it as like, you know, hey, if I hit this particular sub goal or whatever, and, you know, like a hot tub stream or something like that, but that's way off. unlike when you're, cooking up a steak or something like that, don't press on your burgers, don't press on your steaks, don't press on the meat when you're grilling it. Don't do that. All you're doing is squeezing out the juices and everything. Just don't do that. In this particular circumstance, it's totally fine to do it because you're actually kind of flattening out a little bit more and getting better contact, and we're not, squeezing out the juices, and don't wheeze the juice. Classic line from Encino Man, but chat will remember that. Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody hasn't clipped it already. Cooking hot tub stream, you know what? I would not be opposed to it, but it's gonna take some doing in order to get there. I should say that. Not the least of which is actually having a hot tub. Although I think for our purposes, if I were to hit up the farm supply place and get one of those watering troughs, like I could fit into that. And you know what? We could probably set it up next to the fire pit outside. So it would be one of those things that we could probably make work during the summer.
Actually, Leilani said we
Huh.
could go to her house, use her treasure if you want to stream there. She's got a hot tub.
Oh, that's right. She does. Okay. I think. Boom. Nice. Okay. And now we get to the super fun, happy portion of this. So let's open some of this stuff up. We've got that at the ready. I've got mayo. Mayo! And we got the sauce. Okay, I think we are ready to do this. So let's paint on the sauce. I'm actually going to turn that off. Okay. Next, we'll hit it with the, let's hit it with the aonori. And I actually have crushed up sesame seeds also mixed into here. All right. Next up, let's put some of this sushi ginger. Nice. Then we'll hit it with some green onions. And last but not least, mayo. And they are not shy when it comes to this. That is an appropriate amount for this, by the way. And that is Okonomiyaki number 1. That is the stuff right there. So let's push this off a little bit because I need me a bite. And I'm sure Mrs. Hueso would also like a bite. You can be persuaded? Did Beef just pop in?
Yep.
Hi, Beef. How's your day? I'm hoping it's going all right. And welcome, welcome. You know, I thought I set up a custom shout out for her when she rolls in.
She did.
Did it pop up?
Who played Dragon Ball to Goodbye Despair.
Yes, I think. Okay, hang on. Let me scroll back up in chat real quick to see if it actually happened. Yes. It did. Okay. Well, that shout out popped up, but I thought I had a custom one set up for you because it was going to be really embarrassing, and it was going to tell people to definitely go check you out, even though she doesn't want you to check her out, but definitely check her out because it's funny as heck to me. So let's cut into that. Let's go pay tribute first.
You'd have to do that.
Tribute has been paid. All right, let's give this a taste. Aw,
That is bland.
Surprisingly bland.
you triggered bland? Why would you do that? This is not bland. This tastes amazing. Oh man. That tastes, man, this is good. But I can't eat too much because we got more to come. Okonomiyaki number 1.
Great job. Great job.
Am I missing all the fun?
Scott, the one you did with Scott doing the chimes.
Oh, nice. The good job. I've had a lot of fun doing all of the redeems and everything. All right. Let's run it again. Okay. I think this time I'm going to put some yakisoba noodles into it. Because it's really good that way. And I'm also going to throw some garlic in. Which, yes, I'm using jarred garlic. Because it's super convenient for things like this.
We can't see it though because you're.
You can't see the garlic? Darn. My secret is safe. Alright. So I got the noodles and I got the garlic in there. Shrimp's already in there. Yeah, you like that? You know, it's interesting. In again, while doing kind of the research and looking at what's very commonly added, things like mochi cake is added in, which the Korean equivalent would be tteokbokki, which you can totally cut up and put in. Cheese is actually another common addition. Usually it would be something to the effect of like a mozzarella, because that's just how they roll in terms of cheese. Alright, so we're heating this back up to 400 again. Before adding our oil. It'll hydrate. I think after this might be time for a special drink. Hail hydrate indeed. I love the fact that that emote comes through. Okay. $3.50, $3.75. We're almost there. So yeah. How's everybody's week been? I already know the answer from the Queen herself. Just because, you know, keeping up with her in other methods. Oh no! Nudes! Spilling Gatorade? Oof. I'm sorry. Alright, we are ready to go. Get oil going. Swirl it. There we go. And into the pan. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. I got a sink full of hot water, so.
Sounds to me like a cream needs to be whipped. I'm gonna go.
You know what's funny, Bethulu, is for the longest time, I would drink at least a gallon of water a day. And yeah, probably within kind of that time span, especially when I was doing pest control stuff during the summer. Yeah, lots of water.
Beef gave Pearson
Oh! The alert popped up. That's awesome. Thanks, Bethulu. Okay. I'm thinking for this, we'll mix it up just because we can. So we're going to do pork and shiitake mushroom. And we're going to make it look all pretty like.
Beef said your thingy's sexier than Earthworm Jim Groovy.
Oh, nice. Earthworm Jim Groovy is pretty awesome. Earthworm Jim was... I remember the original. If I remember correctly, that was SNES. But that was such a fun game. There we go. We got pork. We got some shiitake. Hang on. Because that's going to drive me nuts that one's facing backwards. There we go. This might be one where we're going to need to employ the plate method. Just bootyful.
That train.
What? Oh! Tell me, was there a little video that played, McFace Stab? Tell me there was a little video that played. There should have been a video that played for you. Of Deep Thought from the BBC production of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yep.
Yes! Yes, that was one of the fun little Easter eggs that I popped up. So, like, say for instance,
dudes!
oh, I think. Wait for it. Wait for it. Whoa. I see some of the numbers are already being found. Thank you for the biddies, everybody. And thank you for the subs. yeah, there's a couple of other bit numbers that will trigger some. Thanks, Scott. They'll trigger a couple of videos. It's just a couple of other very specific ones. Is the video lagging? Okay. Oh.
69,
I just realized that I was totally distracted and failed to turn the heat down a little bit. So, okay. Oh, consequently, Windeer, should you decide to lurk, you can hit the exclamation point lurk command. There should be a fun message that pops up with that. So, okay, it's plate flipping time. So this one got a little extra toasty, but that's okay. L-U-R-K.
Oh.
Scott to the rescue. You like that? I cannot for the life of me remember where that quote is from. It's like, wow, there you are. There you are skulking around in the shadows like friggin' Gollum or something. I cannot for the life of me remember where that quote is from. But it always... What?
I think the actual quote is skulking around like Gollum.
Like Gollum or something.
I don't think that's what I'm
For some reason, I wanna say that it was maybe like Deadpool or Deadpool 2, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Nice. AKA flavor bits. Yes, exactly. Extra flavor bits. It's a little extra caramelized, but that's okay. It just shows that we're doing real live cooking here. That this isn't, some pre-taped, in a studio type of thing. Because anything can happen here, especially when you're live on Twitch. For all we know, the police could roll.
Freeze! Vegan police! Vegan police!
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Those police. Yes, those are the police I was talking about. Oh, man. Thank you so much, everybody. Level 2 Hype Train. This is awesome. Thank you kindly, everybody, for everything. If I scroll back through, let's see. Queen Bethulu gifted a sub to the person,
David,
and then she gifted another one to Hazelnoots. And then Hazelnoots gifted it back to Queen Bethulu. McFaceDab and Hazelnoots with the bits. Scott with the bits. Hazelnoots with some more bits. And yes, you found the burning redeem. David, what does burning smell like? I kind of do her voice a little too well sometimes, but it makes me happy. So, okay, I think we are getting very close. And I would be wrong. Still got a little bit of ways to go. But that's okay. Because then after this, we'll mix up the other batter and we'll make some kimchi. We'll make a kimchi one and who knows, maybe a chat choice. Kind of whatever chat's feeling like throwing in. But I think, yeah, the next one's definitely going to be predominantly kimchi. Because I'm just in the mood for it. Yeah, you missed it, Bethulu. Earlier, I busted out some kimchi that I made a couple of months ago and chopped it up. Bethulu has an appreciation of the Korean cuisine and all of that. So we've talked about that. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ooh, it's a dolphin. That was the emote. That's pretty cool. Oh, okay. That would explain the uncle lived in Korea for 10 years. That's cool. Nice. Hey, we're Mrs. Hueso and myself are hoping to go visit Korea maybe next year or the year after. So then that way we can, you know, have all those, you know, Korean drama fantasies come true. We can visit like the 3 spots that they always film at. Like that one, there's a wall, I forget what series we were watching. They were just always at this big step wall, and it was somewhere in Seoul proper, from what I recall. Oh. I don't recall which drama that was. I've lost track of the dramas that we watched. Okay. So now that we've got that, time to paint on the sauce. And since this one's so much bigger, it's using way more sauce. That's okay, because I can easily make more. Okay. Hit it with the Aonari. Hit it with some of the sushi ginger. Okay, some green onions. Say it with me now. Mayo! And the one thing I forgot to add to the last one. Katsuobushi. And if you look, the heat's kind of making them dance a little bit. And that is Okonomiyaki number 2. Move it out of the way. Ta-da! Smells so good. All right.
Thanks.
Let's tuck in. Oh, I think I cut through that noodle all the way. Nope, I did not. That's okay. Mmm. That was so good with the noodles. Yeah, we need a food teleporter, seriously. Your tribute is coming, darling. Yes. Where's my tribute? I think I need to recut that one. Okay. There we go. Make sure we get all that yummy goodness. Yeah, buddy. That is the stuff. Oh, man, it smells good. Okay. There you go. Proper glassware, folks. Everything tastes better in a fancy glass. Now we come to the ASMR section. ASMR. Cheers. Dr. Pepper hits the spot. Okay. Let's see if we can pour the rest of the can in there. Yes, we can. Okay. We'll take this away real quick. Next up. Okay. Just wiping out my pan here. All right, so we're gonna mix up some batter from the bagged Okonomiyaki batter mix. And we're also going to use their Okonomiyaki sauce for this. So let's crack this open real quick. All right, so we've got that for the end. And then that's got a little tear dealy on it, but that's what scissors are for. So thankfully on this bag, it tells you exactly how to mix it up and what to add, and it is super helpful. The recipe that's on the bag actually lists it for 2 servings. I'm going to make a 1 serving, just a little instant batch of it, because this stuff, as far as I can tell, doesn't actually have to rest like the normal batter. So let me flip that over. So this is just kind of what the mix looks like. As far as I can tell from the ingredient list, it doesn't, I see like kelp powder, but I don't see anything about like katsuobushi or anything like that in it. They could have just made it using standard kind of kelp, really. So we'll go ahead and use this, and instead of the dashi powder, I'm going to use this mushroom bouillon powder from Lee Kum Kee. I'll use a little bit of that in there just to kind of flavor it. And I've got my bowl there, and looking for a thing that isn't there. Okay. All right, so first things first, we're going to want to add some water. So the recipe that's listed on the back of the bag, I'll hold it up so you can see it. It's like a 1/2 cup of the mix a half cup of water, 2 eggs. It says 3 cups of cabbage, a little bit of finely chopped scallion, pork belly, oil, and sauce. And then it kind of talks you through how to do it, which has been the same method that we used earlier. So since I'm only making 1 serving of this, I'll get the 1/4 cup of water. Add it in first. Then, since it's a 1/4 cup, that mushroom bouillon powder, what on earth? I'm like, I know it's around here, because I know I put it up here. 1/4 cup of the flour mix.
Did you find it?
No, I was looking for the measuring spoons. No, I put them like down. Thought I put them up here, but guess not. That's okay. So I'll add a little bit of this, even though it's not on the official ingredient list. Like, I'll add a couple in, just like a 1/4 teaspoon, really, just for a little bit of extra. Alright, so we've got that. We need our egg.
Billy Bob Frog just showed up.
Oh, hey, Billy Bob Frog. Welcome, welcome. Give this a mix. Alright, and since I'm wanting a kimchi pancake, I will add in some of the kimchi. Oh, I think I got rid of that. That's fine. So it was saying it wanted a whole bunch of cabbage, but I'm thinking I want a whole bunch of kimchi. I'm just eyeballing this, because at least according to that, it wanted about, for a single serving, about 1.5 cups of cabbage. So 1.5 cups-ish of the kimchi. And then I will throw in some of the scallion whites, just because those are always good. And then let's do a little bit of the chopped up cabbage, just to add a little bit of flavor and textural contrast. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I chopped this earlier. When I pulled it out of the container, it was a half cabbage, because that's how I made it, in that kind of traditional fashion. So let's mix this up. I think I'm going to leave shrimp out of this one, but I probably will load up on the pork, because I like pork. Okay, so now that that's mixed, I got my extra can of butane handy just in case, which is also why it's on my shopping list. It probably can't be seen, at least not on that screen. More butane canisters, since I'm now using them way more than we had previously. Yeah, and you know what? I completely understand what you're saying, Bethulu. Honestly, for the longest time, I did the same thing. I would just buy it from our local H Mart, which is a big Korean market chain. I absolutely would buy theirs because I liked it. There was another Korean market in the area that made their own, which was pretty good, but it wasn't as good, at least to me. Just because I hadn't had the time to make it. But then I had the time, and I was like, well, let's actually do it. So I, brined the cabbage, rinsed it, made the whole thing. And the recipe that I made was based off of, it was a super popular, like it was the #1 recipe used in Korea at the time, that instead of having, it wasn't quite as savory as the normal kind of kimchi recipes that you see, but it used a kind of a fruit stock that had apples and Asian pears and goji berries and some other things in it, and that was used to make the paste, the base paste that gets stirred together. But that's a whole other video where at some point we will actually make proper kimchi, and it's something that I've done for I don't know how many years now, and it's a process that I enjoy, and it is really delicious. So okay, let's scrape all this down and into the pan. I made sure to turn down the heat this time. There we go. Nice. This is already smelling real good. Really good to me, at least. Excellent. Pork shoulder time. Sure. Come on. There we go. Actually, I was thinking, I don't know if you heard Mrs. Weiss on the background. She was like, hey, we can make some pho with that. I was thinking of kind of marinating it and having some bulgogi. Although it's a little thin technically for bulgogi, but I think it would work just fine. Okay. So, yeah. Welcome, Billy Bob. Yeah, a little burn, a little bit of extra, coloring would be good, and that's kind of where we'll go to. But I don't want to cook it so hot and so fast that the heat doesn't have sufficient time to really work its way through and cook the cabbage and solidify the batter. So then that way it's more of a solid mass all the way through. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, what all would you like to see me make at some point? Like, what kind of things are you like, hey, I would like to, maybe learn how to make X, or how can I make X better, or something like that. Who was I talking to? Was that Echo FX? Or a Scenic Wolf? I don't recall who. One of them made a Instant Pot chili. I think it was this past week. And I have an Instant Pot, but I predominantly use it for making things like stock. But I thought, hey, you know what? That might be kind of interesting to make an Instant Pot chili, which we can make on stream because it doesn't take very long at all. Pizza at scratch from some point would be really good. It's interesting. if anybody spends any time on Reddit anymore, one of my very favorite subreddits is actually Our Pizza. Those guys are hardcore and are big time into making them from scratch. And you want to talk about like having your mind blown by a active community of people. Yeah, it's amazing the things you can learn in there, like Sodubachi, that I actually have made, but sure, we can do Sodubachi very easily. Sodubachi, just so people know, it's kind of a kimchi stew with a very soft tofu that goes into it. It's a very, very popular stew in Korea, and it is usually on the spicy side because that's how Korea rolls. Oh, chicken and dumplings. Okay. Are you making a note of these, babe?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, it wasn't US Equal. Then it might have been Echo FX, I think I was talking to. And he posted a picture of it in the UTA Discord. But it looked...
Ooh, bibimbap.
Oh, bibimbap. Yeah. Bibimbap would be real good. That is a mixed rice, which, interestingly enough, just off the top of my head, a lot of times if you get it at the restaurant, they'll have the individual ingredients kind of separated on top and then you mix it up yourself. Whereas at home, they usually just throw it in and mix it up themselves and try it there. Was that Strong Girl Bonsoon? I think it might. So there's a Korean drama called Strong Girl Bonsoon. One of our favorites. It's hilarious. I highly recommend it. It was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it is currently. Anyways, Bonsoon, the girl, would make bibimbap for the family, like, and they would just have this giant bowl and sit around and eating it. It was amazing. So, oh, is that what she's doing? Oh, how did I know that you were whispering people and saying, hey, tell them to make this? There are some things that she would like me to make that I never make, or
Like chicken and dumplings. I didn't say that.
okay, we can do chicken and dumplings.
Beef said it first.
Okay. The super fluffy pancakes. No, I have not. I have seen them because they're crazy popular on like Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. Make the pancakes. Okay, so chicken and dumplings. Okay, we can do chicken and dumplings. I haven't made the fluffy pancakes, but from what I remember, the fluffy pancakes, the technique comes down to making a meringue. So by whisking the egg whites till they're super fluffy and then folding in the rest of it and then kind of frying them that way. At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong. Let's see, how are we looking?
There's a question.
There's a question?
Dumpling show long bao?
What are we looking at? Soup dumplings. Oh, Shong. Okay. I do know about soup dumplings, and I do know how they're made. It is doable, but it's also a bit of a process. So when they make soup dumplings, for those that don't know, they're typically found in like dim sum restaurants when they have them, and it's usually a large dumpling that you poke a straw into, and there's soup inside. There's liquid soup. The way that it's made is they make a really thick with collagen soup base, and in paste form put it into the dough. So that's how they actually make those dumplings, and then they steam them. The big ones especially, you're not actually meant to eat the dumpling wrapper. It's really just there as a container for the soup. I've not personally made them, but I've seen enough videos about them that I could probably approximate it. Okay, let's put that that down for a second. Okay. Let's stick in there for a moment. Okay. Let's go for the plate flip. Okay. Nice. Din Tai Fung makes the best soup dumplings ever in Seattle. Oh! Did you see that message? Seattle and Din Tai Fung?
I wonder if there's one down here.
I doubt it. Yeah, we went up to Seattle a number of years ago on vacation and got dim sum up there in their Chinatown, which was fantastic.
There's one in Tigar.
Is there a Din Tai Fung in Tigar? Okay, so I guess we'll be taking a field trip in this sometime in the near future. Char siu. McFace stab. When you're talking about char siu, are you talking about traditional Chinese char siu, or are you talking about like the Japanese cha siu? Because if you're talking about Japanese cha siu, that I've actually made a few times. And so
Char siu bao.
char siu bao.
Wait.
The baked char siu bao is probably Mrs. Weso's favorite, next to the those egg custard ones,
Yeah.
which are dessert. The seafood one. Oh, a seafood char siu. Yeah, I actually talked about Octopus a little bit earlier, Beef. How even though it is delicious, I won't eat octopus just because from a conservation standpoint that they don't reproduce very quickly or in very big numbers, and so because the population of them has dwindled quite a bit, I just from a conservation standpoint I won't. However, squid, their populations have gone absolutely crazy, so bring on the squid. Like that will all the live long day, because there's a bajillion of them. Yeah, Chinese food is really her favorite. Like dim sum is her. It's usually what we go get on her birthday. The dim sum place that we were going to locally, with the whole COVID thing, they had to shut their dining room for obvious reasons. However, the last time we went, like the interior of the place just smelled dank, and not in the good way, like moist and kind of mildewy sort of thing. And it was just like I've smelled that mop bucket kind of smell before, and I'm like, not so much. The dancing squid, is that the one where it's very recently deceased, and when you put it on top it's still like moving around? I don't quite recall.
Says yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen videos of it. Okay. Noise. Okay. Set it with the Okonomiyaki sauce.
Do you watch Cooking with Lau on YouTube?
Cooking with Lau?
Yeah.
Cooking with Lau. I'm not familiar with that channel. Drop a link into the chat, and then Mrs. Weso, if you would copy it for me. Alright, think I'm gonna forego the sushi ginger on this one. But I am gonna do lots of green onions because I love me green onions. And then lastly, the mayo. Well, not quite lastly. Lastly, it's the katsuobushi. Sometimes it falls in slightly bigger chunks, and so you got to break it up. But there we go. Kimchi-based okonomiyaki. Boom. Oh, cool. That it's warm. I was having a look at the title effect. If you notice how it says tactical snacking down at the bottom of the screen, but it's kind of blue. That was a new feature that popped up in the latest version of OBS Studio, which is the software used for broadcasting, that allows you to do a type of blending mode for like the overlay cards. So you could like set it to things like additive, subtractive, multiply, and stuff like that. But anyways, this is what happens when you've been working on back-end stuff for as long as I have. That just came out weird. Okay.
We need a close-up cam.
Mmm. It is hot, but it is tasty. Mmm. Mmm. That is really good. Mmm. That almost might be my favorite one yet. Do you have an empty plate?
Yeah, don't give me a big piece though.
No, I was only going to give you a small one.
Because, you know, I like my things.
Just give her a small bit of tribute. And I halfway expect somebody to make a tribute me meme at some point. Anyways. So yeah. Okonomiyaki. Any questions? What do you think?
Good.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like kimchi fried rice, kimchi like in okonomiyaki, like it's delicious stuff. Olive oil, ugh. Oh jeez. She put her hand in the pan with super hot olive oil. Oof. Mm.
They do it all the time on those Asian shows.
Well, no, they don't touch the pan, but like they'll put it like right off of the pan. Add an egg and mix. Yeah, absolutely. Ramen with kimchi and some tuna and the egg. Yeah. I'm not a huge canned tuna fan, so like I won't necessarily mix that in, but like, yeah.
Ray.
Oh my goodness. Look who is here. Painty Pants in the house, Mini Metal, Rav with the Raid. Look at that. 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 Lo Oh, welcome all you poggers. Welcome. Hopefully, I don't know if it was seen, but oh, Lords of the Trident is here? Oh my goodness. Ty himself. I am honored that that Ty is here, that Rav is here. So many the founders of the new wave of the Nice Metal Buds are all up in the house. Welcome. Today we made Okonomiyaki, Japanese pancakes. The last one that I just made is kind of a kimchi filled one, and it was kimchi that I had made myself. Oh, thank you for the follow, Lords of the Trident. Ty himself, which honestly, like, I have said this ever since I saw the stream that you guys did with 7K and Aether Realm. Your basement is probably like the coolest venue ever, and I think it's actually bigger than our house. But yeah, Ty's basement is absolutely phenomenal. If you've never checked out Lords of the Trident, if you've never watched their streams, amazing power metal. Ty has a fantastic voice, and he's been working on opera and sounds phenomenal. Rav, you handsome devil, you lead singer of Ravenous EH up in Canada. Yeah, another phenomenal singer, handsome devil, and yeah, so many wonderful folks all up in here. Thank you for joining us today. Yes, and there's Rav's shout out. You got a custom shout out, my friend. That was one of the things I figured out on the back end, was how to set up those custom shout outs and everything food. Oh, willkommen. That's about the extent of my German. Even though I've got I'm German heritage and stuff like that, my German is, forget it. But willkommen. Yeah, we're making okonomiyaki. We made it from scratch today, using the Japanese mountain yam, and actually still have a little bit of, well, there's the batter that we made at the very beginning, then put in the fridge. You know what? It's probably been in there about an hour, so
Yeah, it's definitely.
I'm thinking we got, you know what? Since Rav and everyone were so good to come over and raid, I'm thinking we got to make some more. We got to make some more for these folks.
Ooh, corn on your, on it.
Corn?
Yeah. Lords of the Trident.
Okay. For Ty, we will do corn. I'm going to go crack a can, because that is how they roll up in Japan as well as Korea. They love their canned corn. When corn is in season, however, I mean, they're all over it like white on rice. But let's go.
Someone's excited you have an ash redeemed.
Oh, yeah, groovy.
Groovy.
Oh, next step is to fold in the
Okay.
cheese.
What does that mean? What does fold in the cheese
This
mean?
is so exciting, watching me
Fold
drain
in.
corn. Okay. Before we start frying, we need to finish off this batter. So in here is all-purpose flour. There's a little bit of hondashi powder, so that instant dashi stuff. A little bit of that. There's some sugar. There is some baking powder and grated up mountain yam, which kind of helps give it the consistency that it has. And the way that I described the consistency of the ground up yam earlier is it kind of looks like the hair gel from Something About Mary. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Do not explain it to anybody who doesn't know, because if you don't know, don't worry about it. I'm just saying. So now we need to add a couple of eggs to this. And then we mix. Okay. So at the request of Ty, we're going to throw in some corn. I've got some kimchi. I've got chopped up cabbage. I've got some cut up shrimp that can go inside. I've got some kasami benishoga, which is the kind of bright red ginger that sometimes you see. I've more often seen them at a particular style of ramen, Hakata style, which is very heavy on the pork. And they'll put it on as a topping to kind of cut through that richness. But that very commonly gets mixed in. And then I've got some chopped garlic, and I have some yakisoba noodles. So, besides corn, what all are we putting in, chat? Corn, bacon, green onion. Okay. I've got some green onion. Well, specifically the white and light green portions. Since the green tops tend to be a little bit on the bitter side. I do not have any tofu, unfortunately. So that's not going to work, but I do have shrimp.
Oh, next step is
That's
to
super
fold
good.
in the cheese.
So we will do all the shrimp.
What does that mean? What does fold in the cheese mean?
And then I'm
Fold
thinking
it
we
in.
got to put the cabbage because that's really corn and taters and cheese. You know, I don't have any peppers chopped up for this. A couple of handfuls of chopped up cabbage. I'm going to throw in a little bit of the ginger just because it's a nice color and also
Hey,
it's a nice little
judgment. All God's children.
pop of
It's
flavor.
fine.
Okay. Mix it, mix it, mix it. Okay. I'm thinking
Great
I'll
job.
put the rest
Great
of the
job.
cabbage in here. So there we go. Now, Ty had mentioned putting bacon. I don't have bacon ready for this. I do, however, have thinly sliced pork shoulder, which I will totally put on. And then I made okonomiyaki sauce, but I also have the bottled stuff for those that, there it is, for those that can't or don't make it. But it's super easy. It's literally 4 parts ketchup, 4 parts Worcestershire sauce, 2 parts oyster sauce, and 1 part sugar. And the part can be literally anything. It can be a thimble, it can be a shot glass, it could be whatever. Some volume of thing, that's all you need to know. If you can remember those numbers, you can make your own okonomiyaki sauce from scratch. And preferably Japanese Worcestershire sauce if you got it. And if not, that's fine too. Alright, let's crank this up. It is a gargantuan pan. It's actually a 14-inch non-stick pan, and it is gargantuan, and I love it. It does not fit in the dishwasher, but I love it. So,
Which makes Mrs. Way so sad.
makes Mrs. Way so sad, so I usually end up washing it by hand, and I love it. Pizza okonomiyaki. If I had some shredded Moz and I had some pepperoni, then yes, we can absolutely do like a pizza style okonomiyaki. That would work just fine. Lumpy, what are we doing with the 55-gallon drum?
That's your measurement.
Oh, 55-gallon drum. I have one that I've been wanting to turn into a smoker for a very long time. It's currently out in the shed. I don't know if I can stand your stream. This is making me so dang hungry. You know what? The judge, clearly, it's working. That's kind of the whole point. And to think I've been banned from talking in at least one chat about food, just because of that very thing. Granted, it's kind of a running joke, but it just makes me funny. Yes, Bethulu. Cooking outside is actually a plan, but in order to do that, I need to be able to take the setup outside and figure out how to get that hooked up. Okay, looks like we are at temp. As I was explaining earlier, if you have an electric griddle, perfect. That is absolutely perfect for making okonomiyaki. If you have it, set it to 400 Fahrenheit. I don't recall what that is in civilized world units, but in freedom units, it's 400. I'm using just the biggest pan that I have over, this is just a portable butane burner. And I'm running the heat at about medium, just because these tend to be a little bit on the thicker side. And so because of that, I don't want to have such a high heat underneath that only the outsides are done and it's still really doughy in the middle. I want it to be done all the way through. Yeah, freedom units. Yeah, you know what? I'm really sorry to hear that, the judge. But I can completely understand what you're talking about. That being just the availability of some of the ingredients sometimes can be rough. When I grew up in Southern California. Hey, thank you so much, Panty Pants. I grew up in Southern California, which has a plethora of these kinds of things, and so like having easy access to all of this stuff was like I'd drive 10-15 minutes and I can get literally whatever I wanted. Now it's like an outing. We live up here in the Pacific Northwest. So, all right, a little bit of oil in the pan. This is just a squeezy bottle with grapeseed oil because it's a nice neutral fat and it has a high smoke point.
DVD just subscribed.
Oh! Welcome, DVD Vampire. Long time no see. How is Abby? Should have a look at some. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Oh, that makes me happy. So glad to hear that she's doing well. So this is going to be a full pan-sized one. Because I'm a big guy. I'm also thinking I need to get a bigger plate. Okay, I'm just...
I love how they've gotten bigger and bigger.
Yes, they've increasingly gotten bigger as the stream has gone on. It's like, okay, well, let's do it bigger.
We have platters.
Yeah, I was just thinking that we might need a platter.
I don't know of any big round platters.
Yeah, plus all the platters that I can think of have big lips on them.
Oh. Here we go.
What'd you find?
This one. This bad boy. Ugh. I'm gonna wash it.
Small, yeah, bigger is better. Oh, nice, the big square one.
Yeah.
That was another score from the same restaurant supply place that would deal in used restaurant equipment. Where I found that awesome Sodubachi for like 10 bucks. And if you give me 2 seconds, I'll explain exactly what a Sodubachi is for those that do not know. Okay. Pork is in. Let me wash my hands real quick.
So much food.
Yeah.
So much food.
We have lunch.
And dinner.
Not quite. Okay.
Okay. I'm out.
You're out. Thank you, baby.
Hopefully that's big enough. I get a bigger one.
All right. So this was in the sink because I used it earlier. This is a Sodubachi. It is a Japanese.
DVD just gave 20 subscriptions.
I got hit with this DVD. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That is truly appreciated. Yeah. Thank you so much, you absolute legend. This is a Sodubachi. If you look inside, let me actually switch. Uh-oh. Dog treats. They gotta be around. If you look inside, there's a texture to it. There are these little raised, because it's a ceramic bowl, it's a little raised ridge. It's used usually to grind things up. So if you have like sesame seeds or whatever, you put it in and with a wooden pestle, you grind it up. However, you can use it as a grater, which is exactly what I did with this mountain yam, by just running it around in the middle, and it grates it up. This giant one I found for 10 bucks at that place. This size today, easily $200. Easily. The small ones that are about the size of like the bowl here, this one is probably about 40 or 50 bucks of the same, you know, of this. Hey, thank you so much for the follows, everybody. How do you like those Final Fantasy VII alerts? What meal do I use? I'm not sure I understand the question. Where are the dogs?
Right here. You can call him. Here comes one.
Here's Puppy. This is Vera. And come here. Hey. Here, you two. This is Jane, named after Jane Cobb from Firefly. And then his very favorite gun, Vera. Vera, come here. Come here, little girl. Okay, fine. I'll come to you. Girl, hey. I'm trying to give you a treat. Good girl. Okay. Doggos have been treated. Yeah. You know, Rav, interesting thing about sesame seeds, you know how they get, like, topped on everything? I was watching a really famous Korean chef, and he was talking about how he never sprinkles on whole seeds anymore. He doesn't add them whole seeds to anything because you don't get... Hey, Nemesis Killa, thank you so much for joining us today. You don't get the full flavor from it. So he grinds them up before adding it to it. So like whenever I top anything with sesame seeds nowadays, I throw them in my pestle and mortar real quick and give them a quick grind and then add it. Give it a try sometime. It will completely change whatever you're topping or adding sesame seeds to. Just trust me on this one. Okay. Oh man, this is smelling real good. I can smell the corn. Not the Jonathan Davis variety either. Because then I'd have to like scat and grow dreads and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Grind up them seeds. It's toast them first, then grind them. And then yeah, it'll completely change. You won't get, they won't get as stuck for one, which is Mrs. Hueso's like single biggest complaint about sesame seeds is that she hates getting stuff stuck in her teeth, and so doing that will kind of eliminate that. And then if you have curl goma or the black sesame seeds, grind those up too. Yeah, it's kind of it was one of those little really minor details that can be changed up, but it definitely changed how I do things nowadays. almost like when I started making my seasoning blends and making them all saltless. So like the taco seasoning that I make, the butt glitter, the pixie dust, all of that stuff is all saltless because more often than not in any seasoning blend that you go and buy, they're gonna have like as the number one ingredient salt. And the problem is that what happened to me is because I'm trying to add taco seasoning to make taco meat, and I'm having to add only a specific amount because it just became way too salty, and I wasn't getting the taco flavor. So I started making it without salt, so I can add way more and get lots of that great flavor with the garlic and the onion. It is not bland.
That is bland.
I guarantee you it is not bland. That clip is from a show called Detectorists, which is one of our very favorite shows ever. It's about two guys that go metal detecting. It is completely dry and is one of the greatest shows ever. But that way I can control the amount of seasoning. I can control how much of whatever seasoning that I put on. It just gives me way more control. So, oh, okay. That is a fantastic question, the judge. So,
Hey, no
okonomiyaki
all God's children, it's fine.
batter is traditionally made with wheat flour as its base. As for substitutions, that is a really great question, and it's one that I need to look into a little bit more because I don't know what one could use to kind of replicate that batter without having the wheat. But it is something that I'm very familiar with, just dealing with like foodborne illnesses and special diets for things like celiacs and things like that. Uh-oh. Come here, little girl. Jane. Jane. What's he into?
Oh, he's in anything. He was passed out of my bed.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Here he comes. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Okay. All right, let's attempt the flip. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't know what common flours would be used.
Someone's suggesting almond flour, maybe?
Almond flour, perhaps. To be honest, like the flour, more than anything, it's not supposed to be super heavy. So maybe almond flour would work. Yeah, I would need to kind of think on that one a little bit. Okay. Whew. This is going to be rough. Mostly got it. It's weird when you got a square platter and it doesn't quite fit, but hey, we mostly got it. Hooray! Do 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 do. Final Fantasy victory music, man. Woohoo! Tapioca flour. Yeah, that might work. Oh yeah, you like that hat? I got this 6 years ago when my brother and I saw them in LA, and right before the show, we went and saw the first Deadpool movie. And then they were opening for Lamb of God. But after they played, we ended up leaving because we didn't care about Lamb of God or whatever. We were there to see them. And we went through the meet and greet, which was awesome. Also, and I have the picture somewhere, but what's interesting is I'm 6'3", okay? They were all rolling about the 5'3" height. And it's funny because my brother's like the same height as me, and here we are just towering, and they're all just like right behind us. Like, it was really, really funny. Okay, that's coming along super nice, and it smells real good too. Not sure if I want to attempt the platter thing again. I probably should. I do have that large sheet tray.
Sheet tray.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? All right. Take care, Joshua. Oh, Rab's leaving. Oh, Rab, take care, man.
That was my bad. My bad. I'm a noob. Sorry.
Rab, take care, buddy. Have a good one. We'll see you around. Oh, dude, that's a bummer. Sorry to hear that, Mini Metal. All right, take care, Billy Bob Frog. Yes, Bethulu. Actually, that is something that we've been meaning to do. Braid.
The rubber band.
Yeah, we got the rubber bands. Just one of those things that usually when things are happening that you're like, oh yeah, we should probably do this. Yeah, no, you're very welcome to judge. Food allergies are very real, and a lot of people don't take things like that into account. And that was actually so. Back in September, when Unleash the Archers came through with Aether Realm and Seven Kingdoms, I had offered to cook for them if they had the time and whatever. And anyway, so UTA came to the house and ate, and you know, just whatever. One of the first questions that I had for them was actually about if anybody had any allergies specifically. Because it is such a serious thing and people can very easily die. But thankfully, because of my training and everything else, I'm aware not only of them, but also how to clean appropriately for them and work in such a fashion so then that way I'm not cross-contaminating things, so then, you know, I don't accidentally kill somebody just because, oh yeah, I totally forgot that I touched this and then I touched this other thing.
Or you give them the, you know.
Or whatever.
What is
And then, of course, I only find out the other night that Grant's like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got a whitefish allergy. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Because like I said, that was my first question, and there was no, it's like, oh no, we're fine, there's no allergies, we're good, everything's cool. And then I made mayo soup that had shrimp and cod in it. Because mayo soup is just an inside joke amongst the UTA folk. So, yeah. That was a little shocking, but hey, Grant's still with us. He's going to be going to Madison on April 2nd, I believe it is, for the Lords of the Trident release party in Madison, since he sang on that track, and it's a super cool video. And if you've not seen it, you definitely should. Check out Lords of the Trident. If I can get a shout out for them, por favor. Yeah. Okay. That is smelling like it is about ready. Okay. Here we go. The biggest key to doing this kind of flip is just doing it with confidence. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And I completely miffed it up. That's awesome. Woohoo!
You can't have it perfect every time.
Oh, that's amazing. Epic fail.
Wrong.
I want to see those
Wrong.
dumpster fire emotes, by the way. AJ's here. Hey, AJ. Yeah, some of it landed in there. Oh, that's amazing.
Wrong.
Hey,
Wrong.
judgment.
I lost
All
about
God's
half of it.
children.
Man, cleaning
It's
this is
fine.
gonna suck. Oh well. There's the dumpster fire. Thank you, Hazelnuts. I'm just gonna leave this over here for the time being. I'm gonna deal with that in a little bit.
Ooh, burn!
Oh, that is hilarious. I'm hoping somebody clipped that because that is just
Hey, no judgment. All God's
amazing
children.
on so many
It's
levels. Oh.
Spicy.
Where is it?
David! What does burning smell like?
Let's see if it plays. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Wait for it. There it is. What does burning smell like? Okay, well, let's hit it with the sauce and hit it with the yanori. You smell the burning, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Open some windows.
Yeah, really. Onions. Mayo. Last but not least. I don't know what restaurant you're ordering from, AJ, but if it looks like this, you probably shouldn't be ordering it. I'm just saying. And I feel like I just put lipstick on a pig. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. But let's taste it. Oh, man. That was funny. When cooking streams go horribly wrong. Tastes real good though. Corn's got nice little pops. Ginger's giving it this nice little bright, fresh kind of contrast to everything else, whereas the corn's got that sweetness. Are you awaiting your tribute?
Sure. I'm okay.
You're fine? Okay. That's really tasty though.
Someone suggested rooster sauce.
Rooster sauce. Sorry, in these parts, this is cock sauce.
In our cock kitchen.
It's cock sauce. It's not rooster sauce, it's cock sauce. That's how we roll here. Yeah, if you like it spicy, go for it, add it. I just realized I didn't have the camera on it, so you couldn't see me put it on. But it's all up in there. Nice.
Nice soup.
Oh, Judge, I am all over that. I will say that, like, Spätzle is, like, one of my very favorite things, although if I remember correctly, I thought it was from Austria. But Spätzle is, like, I love that stuff. Obviously, like, schnitzel, all sorts of, yeah. No! But, yeah, I would be all over that. Schwaben? I'm not entirely certain. Region Stuttgart. Oh, okay. Sauerbraten is delicious. I would be into, yeah, that's actually puts down Sauerbraten. I'm into making that. Oh, Grant, G-Money is here. Let's see if the bot recognizes the fact that you've rolled into chat. And yet somehow it's not welcoming you for some reason. That's weird. Anyways, shout out to Mr. Truesdale. There it is. G Money in the house. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. No, dude, don't even sweat it, Grant. You're being a dad on Saturday, and there's many sports activities that little J Money and Princess V are involved in. So it's all good. Don't even sweat it. You missed the complete the epic fail of the final flip. That half of it went onto the burner. It was pretty awesome. You can totally watch it in the VOD, and if somebody hasn't clipped it and put it back up already, I would be surprised, because it was pretty dang funny. But this is the result of that last one. We cracked open a can of corn at Ty's request and threw that in, and yeah, the final flip did not go well. Oh, it was great. Yeah, no, you know what's funny is I've called her Princess V from the beginning because she is a little princess, as opposed to V Money. Just, I don't know. That was just my own thing. So, at any rate, you got here. Yeah, it's an amazing concoction. We made the batter from scratch, including the Japanese mountain yam. We also made it with the ready-made mix that one can pick up, and I would be really surprised if this can't be found at a market in your area. Just because I know that there is a very high population of Japanese and Korean and Chinese up there. So I would be really, really surprised if you couldn't find it. And the instructions are on the bag, and it's stupid easy to do. And it's literally mixing in whatever you want.
After he's done with his dieting.
Yes, after you're done with your current cut, and you're able to go back to selectively eating, I should say. We'll just leave it at that. So, yeah. So good times today, folks. Any other questions? Because if not, I think we're good for the day. Yeah, if you have any requests of things to make, definitely hit me up. Let me actually, should you want to drop me a message or make a suggestion, all of the socials are there in the chat now. So we've got a Discord set up. If there's like a food video that you've seen, you're like, hey, this looks kind of interesting, what's your take on it? Throw it up there. If you're like, hey, I want to get better at making X, throw it in there. We're just compiling a list of things that people want to see made and want to learn about, and we'll have at it. I'm not afraid of making basically anything. If you want to... Oh. So does that mean I'm going to be... Oh, Grant, thanks, buddy. Does this mean that I'm going to be unbanned from talking about food in your chats? Please, please, please. Okay. All right. Well, then we will commence the speaking of food in Grant's chat again. Which, actually, that reminds me, one of the ideas that I had for you, since we're going to go off topic and Grant's here and he's listening, this is a good opportunity to kind of talk about this. I figured you're probably going to be eating a lot of lean protein in order to kind of maintain the muscle level, since carbs help build up the muscle, whereas protein kind of helps you hang on to it. Generally, that means, I'm guessing, chicken breasts, which is probably the most common way that people who are working out, as Grant is, which is, if you haven't seen him on his workout streams, like, oh boy.
But dunk.
Give me the vapors. So anyways, chicken breasts are notoriously tricky to cook, because they go from being perfectly done to overdone so quickly. And for Mrs. Hueso, the best way that I have found to kind of make some of that stuff for her so she can turn it into things like chicken salad or, you know, throwing it into whatever is by way of sous vide. And this is something that I've been a big fan of for a while now. And I've started doing it where I take the individual chicken breast and I will usually hit it with just a little bit of salt, and then maybe this is where we kind of get into like the umami kind of aspect. Maybe even a touch of MSG, just the tiniest of little bits, just to kind of crank up the flavor a little bit. And then if you have a vacuum sealer, you can vacuum seal it, and if not, just put it in a zip top bag and then submerge it into water to squeeze out all the air, and then let it go. You set it for, at least in my experience, at about 145 Fahrenheit for, at that temperature, for about 90 minutes, and they're perfect. They don't have any kind of caramelization on the outside because it's very gentle, and the chicken breast never goes above that temperature. And so because it spends that amount of time at that temperature, any foodborne pathogens will have died out at that during that extended period of time. So it's safe in that respect. But what's really nice is that once you make it, if you cool it down, you can just have it on hand for, like, say, a week. And then when you're done, you know, streaming at night or something like that, and it's a little bit later, instead of having to fire up the grill and do all this stuff, literally you can just cut into it, throw it on a sandwich if you want, or throw it into a salad. It's done and it's ready to go. Yeah, a Ziploc bag submerged in water. Yep, you heard me exactly correct. Water, the way that it works, and well, I'll get mine out. So this is an immersion circulator. It's an Onova. It's one of the commercially meant for home use. The immersion circulator started in the scientific community in order to precisely control the water temp in a container. This I could put on to the edge of like a stock pot, okay? And the whole idea is that the water runs through it and it heats it to a specific temperature, and it keeps it at that temperature, okay? It will fluctuate maybe a degree or so, but not very much. And what that means is that whatever you put into the bag in the bath at that temperature, it will never go higher than that, which means, in theory at least, you can't overcook whatever you put in there. So like when you guys came, and the beef, for instance, this is what I used, and it went for 48 hours. So then that way it came to that final kind of consistency and everything else. Yeah, sous vide is phenomenal. It is a phenomenal tool, but you have to understand the limitations. It is not a be-all end-all, but it is a great jumping off point to do other things. So like I said, when that chicken breast comes out, it's going to be super juicy and it's going to be phenomenal, but it's not going to have, you know, any of that caramelization on the outside, which you could very easily do on a grill, in a fry pan, just putting a little bit of color on it, just kind of heating it through. So it kind of strikes a balance. Now, the other nice thing about this is being able to set it and forget it. This particular one I actually hook up to with my phone, so I can control it wherever I am. It's like, run for this long at this temperature, and I have a timer on it. But for I'm thinking for you specifically, because you're a busy guy and, you know, everything else going on, this is something that you could set up, like say you get up, just get it in there, get it started, go about your morning workout, you know, say goodbye to Roxy as she goes to work, go kind of do your thing. And if you come back to it 4 hours later, no problem. And it's really just kind of a way to kind of have it ready and waiting on deck. And it's even something that, like, say you're doing one of your night streams where you're noodling, playing through like song requests or whatever. Set it before you start your stream. It'll be done when you're ready. And then when you're done, it'll be done. And it's just, you're good to go. So Judge mentions that you can't overcook it. That's yes and no. It won't ever go above that temp, but if you leave it in there too long, it will eventually break down. So like chicken breast, beef, pork, whatever, if it's left in there for an extended period of time, like a chicken breast usually is about 90 minutes or so. If you put it in completely frozen, which you can do, put it in frozen, then once it comes to temp, just let it go for 1.5 times what you normally would. So if you do it for 90 minutes, add an additional 45 if it's frozen. No. So it wouldn't be 125 for 4 hours. For chicken breast, it'd be 145. But if you put it in with just like cold water and start it, it'll take a little while to come up to temp, and then it'll just hot hold it at that. So yeah, let's say you're doing, hey, let's play through the Immortal Saga tonight. And then let's play through, a few of Iron Maiden's albums or whatever. So let's say you do go for 4 hours. If it's in there for 4 hours, it'll be okay. If it's in there for 12 hours, on the other hand, at that temp, then you're going to start, the proteins are going to start breaking down, and it'll kind of start to get a little bit mushy at that point, which usually isn't what you're aiming for, but it would be, it is possible. So it does require a little bit of attention, but it's mostly hands-off. But it's a tool that could be very, very useful for you and yours. And it's something that I'd be, if you have any questions, you know how to hit me up. What's up?
You'll have to do a video.
Yeah, I'll do a video on it. In fact, I'm really kind of surprised that I haven't done a sous vide one yet. Who knows? Maybe Monday I'll do something. Yeah, exactly. Shakes, cooks it for 4 hours. Yeah, but we don't want to completely dry it out, Lumpy. Dried chicken breast, ain't nobody want that. Homer drooling emote. Oh, okay. Babe, would you make mention about a Homer drooling emote? Okay. That's easily doable. So yeah, easy peasy. But yeah. Hey, you got Nature Boy, buddy. You got Nature Boy. I had to put the Ric Flair in there, and the fact that Twitch would actually allow me an animated one right off the bat, which is like, oh, fantastic. So it's like, okay, have some Nature Boy. So here's the one I started 3 hours ago. Yeah, exactly. I seen it. If I'm doing something that requires a really lengthy one, then yes. However, I could very easily, like Monday, I could very easily do a steak, because by the time it's ready, like I can actually start it on stream and have it be done on stream, because a steak is about an hour and a half, depending on how thick it is. And then it gets finished off with the weed burner outside or in a ripping hot pan, which I could very easily do. I'll have to think about it. I need to think about what on earth we're going to eat. Well, yeah, because Monday's a holiday here in the good old US of A. It's President's Day. So, yeah. Joshua, thank you so much for coming by today. Thank you for enjoying, and yeah, have yourself a good one. Oh, is it a holiday in Canada too? Is it like, in BC, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again to Rav for the, Family Day, nice. Thank you for the raid, Rav. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming by, and, yeah. So, now I gotta figure out what on earth I'm gonna make for Monday. So, I guess I'm making steak. I guess I'm making steak. And actually, it might be a good opportunity. Well, no, because that'll run long. Because I have steaks that I had broken down from a full New York strip loin earlier, and they're in the freezer. I was thinking I could just do them straight from frozen into the sous vide, but that would take like math. Yeah, it would take like a little over 2 hours in order to properly be done. And you know, Icenic, I like ribeyes. I prefer New York strips myself. But if we're talking about favorite part of the cow, it's going to be the picanha. It is going to be picanha. I think picanha is definitely my favorite. Oh, they're close. Oh, I wonder if they're open Monday.
Who?
Chuck's.
Yeah, there should be.
I wonder if I can score a picanha. If I can score a picanha for Monday, we're doing that. Picanha, it's, at least here in English-speaking world, the picanha is known as the coulette. And I forget the specific cut in the official meat cutter's guidebook to cuts. It's like 1438B or something like that. It comes from the Chuck Primal, and it's a triangular piece that Brazil, it is like one of their very favorite pieces of meat ever. It's this little triangle piece that when you go to like a churrascaria, the Brazilian barbecue, it's usually like in kind of a C shape, and there's like a thick fat cap on it. That particular piece of meat is absolutely incredible. For where it comes from, it is super tender and incredibly flavorful because of where it's at and how much work is being done kind of around it. It is, but in Brazil it's called picanha. Ask Pio sometime. He'll tell you all about it. I have one that I was saving for a specific occasion. It's a Snake River Farms American Wagyu one that was not cheap. But there was a specific occasion that I was waiting for it. If I can get a picanha for Monday, I'll do that. If not, we'll do some New York strips, and we'll kind of go through all that. So, a cow rabbit, I don't know. Yeah, exactly, a scenic wolf. You're going to have it at a churrascaria. You're going to have it at that steakhouse because they're all over it. It's usually pretty difficult to find here in the States, at least, because it's not common. But if you go to a butcher, like a good butcher that is willing to order stuff, ask for it by the name of coulette, which is what it's commonly called here, and they may have it. Tafelspitz, I'm not familiar with that. Little cow with floppy ears and rabbit legs. Sounds adorable. Yes, yes, Judge, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing, the Judge. It's a triangular piece. So that may be it. So, okay, I guess we're doing steak on Monday. Easy peasy. Then I just got to figure out a vegetation, and I got to figure out something else. Oh! Thanks so much, Grant, for giving that the Padre. Yeah. Okay, folks. Unless there's any other questions, because I'm happy to, you know, hang out and talk about stuff all the live long day. I could.
The greater good.
Shut it! I'm happy to stand around and talk about food and food related stuff all the live long day. But I think at some point people are just going to get tired of listening to me. Oh! Grant coming in hot once again. Thank you so much. And now you get a little banana cake emote there, Mini Metal. Because, yeah, all those channel, all the subscription cakes, that makes me so happy. That everyone gets a piece of cake for the sub badges. DS Malley is working on some bits badges for me, and because this is all about food, what kind of bits do we have to have? Bacon bits. And so she's drawing up some bacon badges for me. So we have bacon bits because it makes total sense. So, anywho's, thank you so much, everybody, for coming around. And yeah, please enjoy the emotes, enjoy all the hidden Easter eggs and stuff. If ever you guys have any questions, I'll be around in various Twitch chats. I'll be around on Discord. There's all my social stuff that is there. I should learn how to type one-handed. Let's do that, and boop. There we go. Oh, Lumpy for the win. Yeah, you're right. I couldn't hide even if I wanted to. So, yeah. Oh, thank you for the bits, AJ. And we got little ice cream ones. That's cool. So, all right, folks. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Have a good Sunday tomorrow. Or Monday in AJ's circumstance. Yeah, you take care too, Grant. Are you streaming later? I thought Andy said he was. Thank you so much, Hazelnuts, Mini Metal, McFace Stab, AJ, Padre. Okay, Judge, absolutely. I will check the Discord. Very good. 2 hours. Oh, okay, cool. Guitar stuff. That'll be fun. Oh, cool. Enjoy the workout. Have a good one. Happy to make everybody hungry. Saucy, thanks so much for stopping by, buddy. Hey, I'm trying to remember. You do, because I know you were doing filmmaking. Do you do editing and stuff? Because if you do, I want to talk to you. Because I have an idea. Adini loves tunes. Wait, didn't you used to love coffee? You're very welcome. I am a font of useless knowledge, and this is kind of my jam. I figure if I'm gonna tunes and coffee. Okay, there we go. I love food. I love learning about it, and I figure it's like, you know what? If I'm going to, if I'm going to make something, I want to understand it, and I want to understand like why it is the way that it is. Like, when for Okonomiyaki, why was it that they did this when they did it? And like I talked about at the very beginning of the stream, it was because when it first kind of showed up in this form back in 1930, think about that time period. What was happening in the world, right? We're looking at World War II era, and we're looking at rice supplies being really short in Japan. However, they still had wheat, and they had access to like wheat flour, and so they made this thin kind of pancake batter, and they're like, hey, we got a ton of cabbage, let's throw that in because that's really nice and filling. And that's what this was. It was meant to be kind of a cheap fill, because it's what they had at the time. And I mean, let's be honest, some of the best food in the world came about because people made the best of what little they had at the time. Honestly, some of the best food in the world comes from some of the poorest places in the world because it's what they had and they made the absolute best of it, and it is genuinely some of the greatest food out there. What's in the jars on my Discord pic? Nemesis Killa. Okay, really quick answer to the question. In there, on the YouTube page, I actually make the contents of all those jars. One of them is this. It's my butt glitter, which is a saltless seasoning secret recipe that you can't read at all. And it's a super secret that I'll take to my grave and nobody will ever be able to replicate it. And then the chicken variation, which we renamed Pixie Dust, but it was called that chicken butt glitter though. And again, that's a super secret recipe that'll never be revealed to the world. And let's see what else. Oh. This one's empty. I actually got to make more of this. This was my saltless taco seasoning blend that I talked about earlier. Again, a super secret recipe that'll never be revealed to the world whatsoever. But that's what was in there. Pro tip. On the chili powder thing, you got to be careful when you go to, if you're making a truly saltless blend, most commercial chili powders have salt in them as an ingredient. So if you're trying to watch your salt intake or keep it truly saltless, be on the lookout for chili blends that don't have any salt in them whatsoever. One that I found that looks really good, and I haven't tried it yet, it's from a company out of Texas, but it's the first time that I've seen a chili powder blend with no salt. And looking at the ingredient list, it looks really solid, so I'm really tempted to try it out. Got me hooked. I'm allergic to food. Yeah, I know. I break out in fat myself. Oh yeah, you like that? Total whiteboard. Yeah, and I've got my whiteboard erase marker. Got the spray, so then that way, which is actually, it's going to be one of my projects probably tomorrow, is the whiteboard stuff isn't on this cabinet door because we ran out. We just got some more, so we'll put some on there, so then that way I can use both cabinet doors as whiteboards, because it just makes sense, right? So yeah, and it'll be mailed. What's going to be mailed to the world?
Your seasonings, because you use labels.
Oh yeah, so in case anybody cares, those are the U.S. Postal Service label 228, which is their priority mailing label. That is the current version from, I think it's 2016. If you're lucky enough to score some of the older... Oh, G-Tribe Alex! Buddy! Thank you so much. Oh, and you got on the Soldiers of Giants in that one. Nice. If you're lucky enough to be able to score some of the older versions of the priority mailing labels, and they were all 228, they've just kind of changed. The older ones that are smaller, more rectangular, those are awesome. Ask your local post office if they happen to have any kicking around. Chances are they won't. They're very hard to find these days. Most of the times they're taken up by graffiti writers and used as sticker bases for doing slaps and things like that, which graffiti is another thing we can talk about quite a bit, because I'm a fan. So but that's just me. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody. Again, have yourself a wonderful weekend, a wonderful holiday. Hopefully Sunday is gonna be nice and chill for you, AJ, before tomorrow rolls around and it's back to work with your super long 5-minute walk to work. I will say I'm quite jealous of that. That's pretty awesome. Take care. Mini Metal, Grant, Hazelnuts, Padre, sorry AJ, everyone else that's hanging out. Oh, good. Mrs. Weso triggered the goodbye one. It's from the movie Rock and Roll High School. So, all right. Take care, folks. And we will send you out with the greatest Twitch jingle ever, written by Juno Award-winning guitarist and composer for not only Unleash the Archers, but his side project, Sleeper Ship, and any number of other side projects that we have, Mr. Andrew Kingsley. Lumpy, if you would shout him out, poor favor. Pogdrew Pogsley, yes, indeed. This is... Oh, dude, thanks, buddy. Oh, I seen it. Thanks so much for popping in, dude. Lumpy, did you get that shout out for Andrew?
I'm gonna try and do it right now. Show it to you.
There it is.
Got it.
So there we go. All right, folks. Take care. and I will see you in chats.
Hello, boys and ghouls. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. Making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK. making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making a